Alright, this is video 8 for College Algebra. We're going to be talking about linear equations in two variables today. So first we're just talking about slope and kind of getting a refresher on that. Remember, slope is the change in the y's divided by the change in the x's. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If we're looking at a graph, remember it's rise over run. And sometimes you might see it looking like this, delta y over delta x. Delta just means the change. So looking at an example, finding the slope between 3, 4, and 5, 7, well, I can call these my x1 and y1, and here my x2, y2. And if you flip-flop those, you'll get the same answer. So here we're subtracting our y's over subtracting our x's. All right, and so this simplifies to 3/2. That is my slope. If I was graphing this, I would go up 3 and to the right 2, up 3 and to the right 2. All right, our types of linear equations, we have points, we have slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and then we have point slope form, which is our y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, and so we're going to do an example where we write an equation of a line that has a slope of 3 and passes through 1, negative 2. Now for this, we're going to write this in point slope form, just because I think that's probably a little bit newer, and so I want to go over that. So, again, this is our x and this is our y. So I'm going to take y minus negative 2 equals my slope, x minus 1. Okay? And then let's simplify this a little bit. This would become y plus 2 equals 3x minus 3. Okay, and so these are all acceptable forms. I could go ahead and I could subtract my 2 over, so it's y equals 3x minus 5. Sometimes you might be asked to put it in slope-intercept form. Sometimes you could leave it like this line, like our second line. All right, talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. Again, this is kind of a review from Algebra 1, a little bit geometry. Remember, parallel lines, same slope, different y-intercepts. If they had the same intercepts, they would just be the same line, okay? And they will never intersect. So two examples could be y equals 1/2 x plus 7 and y equals 1/2 x minus 4. Okay, those lines are never, ever, ever going to intersect. I like to think of that as like the interstate. The northbound and southbound will not intersect. All right, for perpendicular lines, slopes are opposite reciprocals. Opposite meaning positive or negative, reciprocal meaning flip the fraction, okay? And they intersect at 90 degrees. And so this one's, you can sometimes see it marked by that square in the corner. So examples, if my slope is 4/3, the opposite reciprocal would be negative 3 over 4. So you just flip your fraction. So we're going to do a couple examples with parallel and perpendicular. So here we're going to write an example of a line that's parallel to this given equation and passes through 2, negative 1. So first we have to find out what our slope is, all right? And so for that, I'm going to put this into slope-intercept form. That tells me my slope very quickly. So my equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 5/3. So my slope that I'm looking at is this 2/3. So if we want it parallel, we want the exact same slope. Now, we're going to do this same problem two different ways, one with point-slope form and one with slope-intercept form. So with point-slope form, we know our slope and we know the point that we're going to do. So this would be y, and this is minus -1 equals our slope, x minus 2. So y plus 1 equals 2/3 x minus 2. And you can keep that like that. Sometimes you might be asked to simplify, but for now we're going to keep it just like that. So when we know our slope and we know one point, it's really easy to do that type of problem. Now for slope-intercept form, we're going to plug in everything that we know. Y equals 2/3 x, but we don't know our y-intercept. And then we're going to plug in our point for our x and y values here. So I should say -1 equals 2/3 times 2 plus b. So when I solve this, I get -7/3 equals b. Now I can plug this answer in to my equation, and I can finish writing out my equation. So y equals 2/3 x minus 7/3. Now these are the same equation, I just wrote them in a different form. All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about are just our types of equations. So standard form of a linear equation, and you'll see this a lot if you're dealing with systems of equations, ax plus by equals c. Sometimes you might be asked to put a point-slope form into standard form. Okay, slope-intercept form, we talked about that, y equals mx plus b, and point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So these are all linear equations, it's just a different type of writing them. Okay, and then our two kind of special lines, vertical lines, are x always equals a number. A horizontal line is just y equals a number, and sometimes it's important to remember that. All right, and that was looking at our linear equations.